Alright guys, do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and especially if you enjoyed this video. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up a sec. Look what I came across. Anthony Joshua. Andy Ruiz beat me with a lucky punch. Lucky punch. Lucky punch. There's no such thing as lucky punches in boxing. Now I'm going to be quoting Anthony Joshua. By a lucky punch. By a punch sent by the gods. I don't know what concussion is, but for sure after the fight, I didn't know what round the fight was stopped. So I'm just shocked it took Ruiz Jr. another 4 rounds to get me out. Let me concuss Ruiz Jr. He won't get back up. Ruiz Jr. got hit by a flash knockdown. He was still raw. He wasn't well done. He wasn't cooked yet. I should have left him a little bit longer, but the instincts in me was boom. I ended up getting caught with a left hook on the top of the head. He ain't that skillful. He's a good fighter. Damn. Do what I did in round 3, but I'm not going to even read that. So, Anthony Joshua says that Andy Ruiz is not even that skillful, but then he goes on to say he's a good fighter. Okay, he claims that was a lucky punch. At least that's what this title reads. Right? But then he says Andy Ruiz caught him with a left hook. Now, in my opinion, I don't believe there's a such thing as a lucky punch. The only way I could look at anything as a lucky punch in boxing is if the opponent who gets knocked out has like his hands in the back of his on his backside, and he's like mocking and trolling his opponent, daring him to knock him out. And then like say his opponent throws a punch and he knocks him out, right? You could look at that and be like, well, the only reason that happened was because that dude was an idiot and he had his hands by his waist and he was like daring his opponent to knock him out. So of course that happened, right? Think of, Nate Campbell, right? There's been fighters who have done these things in the past where they're acting like you can't hit me, you can't land on me, and then they get themselves knocked out. But I don't believe there's any such thing as a lucky punch in boxing. And Andy Ruiz certainly did not catch Anthony Joshua with a lucky punch. Andy Ruiz caught Anthony Joshua while they were in the middle of exchange. While they were in the middle of an exchange, right? They were literally in the middle of an exchange. Joshua was throwing his left hooks, trying to knock Andy Ruiz out, and Andy Ruiz was throwing his own left hooks. And Andy Ruiz's left hook got to Anthony Joshua while they were both exchanging. It wasn't like Joshua had his hands close to his waist or not defending himself and saying, hey, Andy, throw that left hook to my face and knock me out cold. I dare you, son. That wasn't the case. He was firing back. They were in the middle of exchange. If that's the case, you might as well say that when Dillian White rocked Anthony Joshua, that was lucky. That wasn't a lucky punch. That was a punch that happened because Andy Ruiz was up close to Anthony Joshua, doing what he was supposed to do, letting his hooks go to try and get to the bigger man, right? It wasn't Andy Ruiz's fault or problem that Anthony Joshua allowed him to get that close to him. So I don't like that whole thing that Anthony Joshua was saying that Andy Ruiz caught him with a lucky punch, because that's not a lucky punch. That's boxing. You got to be able to keep your opponent who's shorter than you away from you. You got to be able to control him. All right? The only reason Ruiz got in close was because Joshua allowed that to happen. He allowed it to happen. He elected to fight Ruiz toe-to-toe, and he allowed Andy Ruiz to get in close. So how is that a lucky punch? It's not Andy Ruiz's fault that he caught him in the top of the head. He was aiming for his face. He was aiming for his chin. But he ended up catching him in the top of the head. That's boxing. Sometimes you throw a punch and it lands in the back of people's heads. Look at how many times look at how many times Deontay Wilder lands a fucking back of the head shot. How many times have you seen Deontay Wilder land a back of the head shot on dudes? Happens in almost every one of his fights, right? That's boxing. Sometimes fighters, they throw punches and it ends up catching them in the side of the heads. Look at how many times a fighter will throw a punch and they're trying to throw a body shot and then accidentally it hits them below the belt. And they don't mean to do it. They were aiming for the body, but just the way that their opponent was like leaning towards them, or the way they were throwing their shot towards their opponents, it ended up catching them in the balls. But they didn't want that to happen or mean it to. They weren't intentionally trying to, land low blows. That's boxing. Andy Ruiz was trying to land that left hook to Anthony Joshua's chin, and it ended up catching him in the side of his head. Again, why did that happen? Because Anthony Joshua allowed Andy Ruiz Jr. to be up close to him, and that's the bottom line. I'm out. No such thing as lucky punches in boxing, bro.